Okay, so everyone is talking about AI taking our jobs, but I don't think that's what we're truly afraid of. We're not afraid of poverty. We're afraid of becoming unnecessary. If a machine can think and code better than you, what's even the point of you? Well, in 1882, German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche published The Gay Science, which features a famous scene called the parable of the madman. And in this story, a man runs into a busy marketplace in broad daylight, holding a lantern, shouting, "I seek God! I seek God!" People laugh at him. They tease him. Did God get lost? They treat it like a joke. But the madman stops, stares at them, and finally says, "God is dead. God remains dead. And we have killed him." Now obviously Nietzsche didn't mean we literally killed a god. He meant that science and reason has replaced the need for God. We swapped mystery for facts, the cathedral for the lab, and made the divine unnecessary. Nietzsche was warning us. Removing God also removes the sense of security people relied on through God. For thousands of years, religion told people who they were, why they suffered, and what their lives meant. When that sun disappeared, Nietzsche predicted that the West would face a crisis of meaning. We would lose our centre of gravity. So what do? We replace the old structure with a new one. In the 20th century, we built society around utility. We decided that meaning comes from being useful, what you are. You're a writer, a coder, a doctor, an analyst. Your identity is your competence. Your value is your output. I am useful, therefore I matter. And that brings us to today. Right now, that entire structure is collapsing. We've created machines that can imitate the very abilities we've built our identities on: logic, creativity, analysis, language. If you're a writer and the machine writes faster, if you're a coder and the machine codes better, if you're an analyst and the machine sees what you can't, the real fear isn't, will I lose my job? It's the same fear the madman felt. We're facing the death of human utility. And just like in Nietzsche's time, we're not prepared for the psychological weight that comes with it. So hi, I'm Dan, and in this video I want to look at AI through Nietzsche's eyes. I want to explore the danger of becoming what he called the last man, a passive, comfort-addicted observer. And I want to talk about the solution he offered. Because if we're losing our utility, we need something else to keep us from falling into the dark. In the old world, your value was given to you. You were a child of God. You had a soul. You didn't have to earn your right to exist. It was inherent. But as the world became more secular, we looked to new ways to measure human worth. And for the most part, we seem to have settled on meritocracy. We decided that the most valuable humans are the ones who can solve problems, process information, and generate wealth. We moved from the cathedral to the office. We stopped confessing our sins and started updating our resumes. Think about how we introduce ourselves. We don't say who we are, we say what we do. I'm a lawyer, I'm a designer, I'm a content creator. I think we can safely say that for the most part we have completely merged our identity with our utility. And for a long time this felt safe. During the Industrial Revolution, machines came for our muscles. The steam engine and the tractor made physical strength less valuable. But we didn't panic. In fact, we felt superior. We told ourselves, oh, that's fine, let the machines do the heavy lifting. Humans are the thinking animal. Our value is in our minds. We retreated into a cognitive citadel, if you will. We convinced ourselves that creativity, logic, and judgment were the sacred, untouchable parts of the human experience. Things silicon could never touch, and certainly not emulate. But AI has breached the citadel walls. When you read a poem that moves you, only to find out it was generated, or generated code that builds the app idea in your head perfectly, or an algorithm that diagnoses a disease better than a specialist, it doesn't just threaten your income, it proves that the very thing you thought was special about you, your intelligence, is just a process. And it's a process that can be automated in more ways than you ever thought possible. We're currently facing the horse moment. In 1900, a horse was essential to the economy. It pulled carriages, ploughed fields, and moved goods. But fast forward 20 years, and the combustion engine had all but removed horses from the economy entirely. They could still exist for pleasure and gambling, but it had zero economic utility. We're now staring at the combustion engine of the mind. If everything you believe makes you valuable, your intelligence, your cleverness, your creativity is suddenly eclipsed by a tool, then you're not just facing unemployment, you're facing a spiritual crisis. Because if you've spent your whole life believing, I matter because I'm useful, and you wake up in a world where a machine, a technology is more useful than you, then you are, in Nietzsche's sense, about to lose your religion. So if we can no longer find meaning in work, if our utility can be replaced, then what's left? When a value system collapses, we fall into what Nietzsche called nihilism. Nihilism isn't just sadness or pessimism, it's the belief that nothing truly matters anymore, that the highest values we once believed in have lost their power. Indeed, Nietzsche warned that once we lost our guiding why, we wouldn't immediately find a new one. Instead, we'd reach for comfort. We'd choose the path of least resistance, and out of that choice, a new kind of human being would emerge. He called this person der letzte Mensch, or the last man. The last man is the final product of a civilization that has made itself completely safe. He's healthy, he's comfortable, he has entertainment, he has convenience, he knows everything because his world is full of information, but he has no fire inside him. He takes no risks. He has no great purpose. He avoids suffering at all costs, and he never aims at anything that could break his heart. Nietzsche says that when he asks, what is love? What is creation and what is longing? He's not genuinely curious. He's showing that he no longer understands or cares about these deeper human drives. To him, life is about staying warm, staying fed, and staying comfortable. Nothing more, nothing less. For over a century, the last man was just a philosophical warning. But today, look around. Silicon Valley is building the perfect habitat for him. The promise of AI is total frictionlessness. A life without effort. A life where nothing is hard. Why struggle to learn a new language? The AI translates instantly. Why struggle to write a difficult message? The AI drafts it for you. Why struggle to create art? The AI generates it in seconds. Why wrestle with ideas? Why practice a skill? Why learn anything slowly? We're optimizing the human experience so much that we risk optimizing the humanity out of it. And that's the trap. We think we want this. We think we want comfort, convenience, and instant results. But Nietzsche understood something tech companies don't. Meaning comes from friction. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who survived the Nazi concentration camps, called it new dynamics. He argued that mental health requires a certain amount of tension. We think we want homeostasis, a tensionless state where we're perfectly relaxed. But Frankl said that this is dangerous. He wrote that what man actually needs is the striving and struggling for a worthwhile goal. So when AI removes the struggle, when it answers the question before you've even asked it, it deprives you of that healthy tension. It creates an existential vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. So if you don't fill that space with purpose or struggle, despair will fill it for you. So back in 2008, I did the Inca Trail over the course of 3 days, hiking my way up and down the mountains all the way to Machu Picchu. And after 3 days making a whole bunch of new friends, having this amazing experience, we get there first thing in the morning to see a pair of tourists who'd taken the train, and their description of sunrise over Machu Picchu, one of the most glorious sights in all the world, was, "That's neat." Because the meaning wasn't really in the view. The meaning was in the climb, the exhaustion, the doubt, the cold, the struggle to get there. And when AI removes the climb from everything, from art, from work, from learning, from creation, it leaves us with nothing but the view. And a view without a climb is just a screensaver. This is the real danger of the AI age. Not that robots will revolt, but that they'll pamper us into oblivion, doing all the thinking, creating, striving and learning for us, while we slowly become the last man. Comfortable, safe, unthreatened, and completely empty. So if the machine takes the struggle, what do we do? How do we keep our humanity alive? How do we avoid becoming the last man? Nietzsche had an answer for that too, but it requires accepting a hard truth about mediocrity. The reason we're so afraid of AI isn't just because it's powerful, it's because it exposes how much of our daily lives are actually pretty mediocre. Nietzsche wasn't a fan of the herd. He believed that most of culture was just people copying other people. He believed that true originality was rare, and that most of us are just sleepwalking through life, repeating the same thoughts and doing the same tasks over and over again. Similarly, AI is the ultimate herd machine. It's been trained on the average of all human knowledge. It's the statistical mean of everything we've ever written or created. So, if your work is average, if you're just rearranging words or copying a coding style or painting like everybody else, then maybe the machine should replace you, or at least what you do. For the last 20 years, the internet created a culture of content. Not art, but content. Clickbait articles, generic emails, SEO-optimized blog posts, formulaic pop songs. We turned human creativity into a factory assembly line. AI is simply the machine that runs that factory better than we do. It's burning down the forest of mediocrity and selling it back to us for a profit. If your job was as a data processor, where you take information from pile A and do some maths with it and put it in pile B, that job is gone. The era of the average knowledge worker is over. Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, predicts that the marginal cost of intelligence will trend towards zero. Think about what that means. Throughout history, intelligence was expensive. It was rare. It was high status. But in the very near future, asking a computer to solve a complex problem will cost as little as asking it to add 2 and 2. And when intelligence becomes free, it stops being a differentiator. It stops being an identity. So if your identity is built on being smart, you might well be about to experience an identity crash. This leaves you with 2 choices. You can be angry. You can resent the machine. You can try to ban it or regulate it or even just ignore it. Or you can use a concept by Nietzsche called amor fati, or love of fate. It's the practice of accepting reality exactly as it is, without wishing it were different. Right now, a lot of people are wasting their energy wishing AI didn't exist. They're angry, they're resentful, they're bargaining with the future, but that is a waste of life. It failed with Gutenberg's movable type, it failed with the Luddites during the Industrial Revolution and the French saboteurs in the early 1900s. You cannot negotiate with a technological revolution. So, instead of looking at AI as a disaster, I want you to look at it as a fire. In nature, a forest fire is destructive, yes, But it's also necessary. It burns away the dead wood, it clears out the brush that's blocking the sunlight, and it creates space for new growth. Similarly, AI is burning away the processor mindset. For the last 50 years or more, we've been training humans to act like computers. We taught people that work meant taking data from one place, rearranging it, and moving it to another place. We rewarded people for being efficient, repetitive, and error-free. We tried to become the machines. And now that the actual machines have arrived, that game is over. If your value comes from being a processor, from just moving information around, you're in trouble. A computer will always be a better processor than you. But here's the flip side. The machine is forcing us to stop being processors and start being creators. Think about the standard of excellence. Before AI, just being competent was enough to make a living. If you could write a grammatically correct article or code a basic website or design a half-decent logo, you had some value. But now, competence is free. Good enough is automated. The baseline quality for everything has just shot through the roof. Now, this sounds scary, but it's actually a filter. It filters out the mediocre. It filters out the people who are just going through the motions. When basic skills become easy for computers, the thing that still matters is having ideas. We're entering a world where knowing how to do something is easy, but knowing why you're doing it is what actually counts. So the real question is, if being useful isn't enough anymore, how do we build a life that matters? Nietzsche thought this would happen. He believed that when old sources of comfort disappear, a new kind of person has to learn to create their own meaning. And he called this person the Übermensch, or Overman. The term Übermensch is often misunderstood. In Nietzsche's philosophy, the Übermensch, or Overman, is simply a person who's bridged the gap. He's the one who stops looking outward for permission and starts looking inward for purpose. He doesn't wait for the market to tell him what's valuable. He creates his own value. But how do you actually do that on a Tuesday morning when you have deadlines? Here's a practical roadmap for becoming the Übermensch in the age of AI. First, stop outsourcing your thinking. We need to fundamentally change how we view effort. Since at least the dawn of this millennium, we've been obsessed with efficiency. We want the result as fast as possible, but AI has devalued the result. If a machine can write the essay, code the app, or design the slide deck in seconds, the final product always feels cheap. So where is the value? The value is in the struggle of creating it. Think about weightlifting. If your only goal was to move a piece of metal from the floor to the ceiling, you'd use a forklift. It's faster, it's more efficient, but you don't go to the gym to move metal, you go to the gym to become the person who can move metal. The value isn't in the bar moving, the value is in the resistance tearing your muscles and making you stronger. And this is actually backed up by neuroscience. There's a mechanism in your brain called the effort-driven reward circuit, which connects the movement centers of your brain directly to pleasure centers. And evolution wired us this way. While we still get satisfaction from getting food we like so we don't die, we don't get that same deep sense of personal satisfaction we get from having found or prepared it ourselves. Similarly, when you let ChatGPT write the essay, or let Midjourney paint the picture, you're short-circuiting your own biology. You get the result, but you don't get the neurochemical reward. You're effectively cheating your own brain out of joy. So if you're a writer, and I cannot stress this strongly enough, do not let AI write your first draft. Use it to edit, sure. Use it to brainstorm, absolutely. But don't let it do all your thinking for you. If you skip the struggle of articulation, your brain starts to atrophy. If you're a coder, don't just copy-paste the solution. Read it. Understand the logic. and maybe even improve it. The Übermensch understands that the machines can do the heavy lifting, but the humans must do the heavy thinking. Second, bet on the unscalable. The last man wants everything to be scalable and automated, but in an AI world, automated equals abundant, and abundant things are worthless. Scarcity is found in the things that cannot be scaled. Kai-Fu Lee, one of the world's leading AI experts, predicts a massive shift in the economy. He argues that we're moving from an intelligence economy to an empathy economy. He points out that while AI is excellent at optimization, finding the best route, the best diagnosis, the best strategy, it's incapable of compassion. A machine can offer a medical diagnosis, but it can't hold a patient's hand and offer hope. A machine can teach a lesson, but it can't mentor a student who's struggling with self-doubt. As Lee puts it, AI will take the tasks that are routine and optimizing. Humans must take the tasks that are creative and compassionate. Look at your work. What parts of it require your actual physical presence or your unique history? AI can write an email, but it can't fly to a client's office and shake their hand. AI can generate a generic pop song, but it can't perform live in a dive bar and know how to read a crowd. AI can aggregate news, but it can't understand sentiment or understand what is or is not misinformation. So shift your career towards the high-touch and inefficient things. Handwrite that thank you note. Record the video with your face in it. Build the community that requires real-time interaction. The machine dominates the realm of data, so you must dominate the realm of experience. Third, become the architect, not the builder. AI is a people-pleasing answer bot. It can be a miracle of retrieval when it isn't hallucinating, but it's always passive. It waits for a prompt. It can't wake up in the morning and decide to change the industry, change the world. That's your burden. The machine can answer any question, but it can never actually care about the result. If you're a graphic designer, stop worrying about how fast you can use Photoshop. The AI will win. Start worrying about taste. Start worrying about originality. AI can only ever be the sum of its parts. You can be something greater. Don't be the guy laying the bricks, the code, the words, the pixels. Be the architect who designed the building. As an example, take legendary music producer Rick Rubin. He actually doesn't play instruments well. He doesn't know how to work the sound desk. By technical standards, he's actually unskilled. Yet he's responsible for some of the greatest albums in history. Seriously, look him up. He produced like Limp Bizkit, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Shakira, Aerosmith, Kanye West, even Ed Sheeran, and literally hundreds of other artists in between. And somehow, when asked what he actually does, he said, "I have no technical ability and I know nothing about music. The only thing I have to offer is my taste." This is the future of the Übermensch. When the machine has all the technical ability in the world, your value is taste. Your value is your ability to say this is good, this is bad, and this is where we're going. The Übermensch doesn't reject the tool, he wields it. He treats AI like a very fast, very talented intern. The intern does the work, but the Übermensch provides the vision. So don't try to outcompute the computer. You will lose. Instead, be the one who sets the intention. Be the one who decides where we're going. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground, and if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, that's completely normal. Losing your economic safety net is terrifying. Losing your sense of being needed is even worse. But I want to leave you with one final image from Nietzsche. It's perhaps his most famous metaphor. In Thus Spoke Zarathustra, he writes, "Man is a rope, tied between beast and overman. A rope over an abyss." For a long time, we thought our job was just to stand safely on the edge, to be comfortable, to be employed, to be useful. But AI has removed the ledge. The safety of the average life is gone. The ground has crumbled behind us. So now you're out on the tenuous, wobbly rope bridge of life. Below you is the abyss of the last man, a life of passive consumption and total redundancy, devoid of value. Ahead of you is the path of the overman, a life of self-created meaning, difficult challenges, and true vision. Yes, it is a dangerous crossing, but standing still is no longer an option. So don't look down into the abyss at the jobs that are disappearing. Don't look back in anger at the era of utility that's ending, and instead look across. The machine has taken the chores of intelligence, and now you're free to do the true work of humanity: creation, connection, and purpose. And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to check out our full Philosophies for Life playlist. And for more videos to help you find success and happiness using beautiful philosophical wisdom, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching.